I didn't know about this, and I didn't know about that. For people who want another version of US history, read Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. How long does the book cover? Over 500 years before the United States was born to 9/11. Since it is a history book, some of you will be curious about, oh, is this book biased? Yes, absolutely. As you can see from the title, the overall view of this book is focused on people, not high class people, rich people, and kings, but normal people throughout the history. Since the book is very long, so I don't want to talk about the whole thing, but I want to talk about the most important part, which is the first chapter. The first chapter talks about Christopher Columbus, arriving to North America. Why is Zinn telling Columbus since he had never touched the mainland of the United States? You know, the 50 states of the United States. He had never touched it. But why? Because after illustrating the arrival of Columbus, Zinn talks about his bias throughout the book. Rich people and royal family supported Columbus, so he went on an expedition promising lots of golds, spices, and slaves. But in reality, boom, there was not as much gold as he thought. So how should he pay off for his boats, food, weapon, and people? From then, Columbus gets crazy, he gets mad, and he craves to find gold. And during the process, he mistreats, abuses, kills, and even did genocide to the native people. And actually, I didn't know about it. I was never informed, and no one informed me about it. Well, why? Then Zinn tells us about that's because most historians emphasize what Columbus did well, since they think killing native people wasn't the important part of the story. So, were they biased? Yes, absolutely. Then, does it mean Zinn is neutral? No. From the first chapter of the book, Zinn tells us about he will talk about the story of arrival of Columbus from the perspective of native people, and he will talk about the ratification of the Constitution, U.S. Constitution, from the perspective of slaves. And this Zinn's perspective is kind of unique. The book is not about like patriotic stuff like God bless America and the beautiful history of the United States. And that makes Zinn's book especially niche, special, and worth reading. So if you want a brand new version of US history, I recommend you to read The People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. Thank you for listening so far.